So we are getting deeper into the verse, which has how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 qualities or 11 nature of self has been given. Okay? All the three of you are here. Okay. So the verse goes like this. आत्मसाक्षी विभु पूर्णा एको मुक्ताश्चित् अक्रिय असंगो निष्पृह शांतो भ्रमात् संसारवानिव. The self is the witness, Sakshi, Vibhu, all-pervading, Purna, complete, Eko, non-dual, Mukta, free, Chit, consciousness, Akriya, inactive, Asango, unattached, Nishpraha, without desires, Shanto, peaceful. And we started with Atma. Okay, so let's see. Brahmat samsara vaniva. It is an illusion that yourself is involved in samsara. The teacher Ashtavakra describes all these qualities here to convey that the self is not a person per se in his awakened state. The self is different from your current awareness and the state of being. Using these lakshanas that are mentioned here, you can develop a better idea of what that self would be when you go on to experience it in your nididhyasana. These are all extremely useful to focus your attention upon that one self and dissolve your mind in that awareness. About nididhyasana, we have to be very clear. All the validation process, all the contemplation is different, nididhyasana is different. All the contemplation on acharyas, this thing, course and Upanishad revelations and everything else. Suppose he said causeless juxtaposed with illuminator. All these processes are a part of manana. After the mananam is through, in the nididhyasana, there are no thoughts. Be very clear about it. In the nididhyasana, it is only after being very clear about self, with all the revelations, with all the shrutis, declarations, with all these sessions, with all newer things coming up daily from the source. Once you sit in the nididhyasana is just meditating on self first, with no additions, no modifications, no thought process, no validations, no going back to the theoretical literature, no going back to the expressions even. Nididhyasana, it is all only self. Self, 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 self. That's it. Okay. Now we will go one by one. Witness, Sakshi. The self is said to be without attributes and qualities. Then how can you justify statements that that state that self is this or self is that or self is not this or self is not that? If you say that the self is the witness, does not it mean that we are defining an indefinable self and limiting its greatness? He warned a few sadhakas. If you bring in this expression witness, it is impossible to transcend the thought from the mind about witness, the expression witness which our mind and our intellect can construe or know. That is why he said, for a mukta, if you say witness, he knows what that witness is exactly. That is why he said transcendent. So he said, it is illuminated, not witness, in the previous TPC stuff. And then also he clarified to three of you that the illuminator can be said as witness, in the sense that the witness witnesses something, but it doesn't get involved in that. Right? It is the illumining witness, we can say. Atma Sakshi. Okay? Consciousness. Witness also in the sense that it is the chit, it is the awareness, pure awareness, illumining the jiva and illumining the creation for the jiva, with which he can get all other objective awareness. So Atma Sakshi. But at an advanced level in spiritual sadhana, it is better to go past this expression of witness Sakshi. First, you exist as Swayam Sakshi, maybe for 1 month, 12 months, 12 years, 25 years, whatever time it takes there, as per the train analogy, you exist as witness. Realized or not realized, leave it. You exist as witness to anything which is happening to the BMI and anything which is happening around, whether it is affecting you or whether it is not affecting you, whether it is loving you or whether it is torturing you. In all situations remain as witness. And he told one expression in the beginning, realized seer knows what witness expression is all about. Okay, Vishwasakshi is all about. When you can take his word, because out of the experience, out of the state he is pouring. When you are able to really exist as pure witness, not for 1 hour, 1 day, 1 week, 1 month. Eternally, if you are able to exist as witness. Totally unmoved, totally changeless, totally unaffected by anything around you in the creation, then you exist as per the Tribhu Gita's definition of the Videha Mukta, pure awareness, undiluted bliss, without the least trace of thought. There, at that juncture, witness is equal to illuminator. There is no difference there. There, the contradiction or the thought process of witness at a human level, all those things. So to say, if we can use a little this thing, expression, the illuminator witnesses without the least trace of thought that he is witnessing. At that state, illuminator is equal to witness. Close. You can take the one, you can write it down. If ever any one of you reach that state, validate on that day that there Acharya is resolving this conflict between illuminator and witness also. There the witness is equal to illuminator, because the illuminator may still be witnessing if he is still in the creation, but without the thought that he is witnessing. So the differences, that dvandam also goes between the witness and the illuminator. How beautiful. Vibhu, all pervading, pure canvas. Vibhutvacha sarvatra sarvendriyana. Explained. And then in the Tridrishya Viveka, the source of the source of the Ahamkriti, all pervading. And in some other context, we are explaining this further. We are bringing all pervading, Purnam, all together in another expression. Purnam. The secret of the Upanishad, or the beauty of the Upanishad, is that it is very clear that Brahman cannot be explained. Okay. At best, direct exposition of Brahman has been Satyam. Other than that, Brahman cannot be explained, because once you start explaining with your highest intellect. With intellect, you cannot express Brahman, or you cannot understand Brahman. So what Upanishad does is, it either catches this neti technique, where it rules out all those things which are not Brahman, and then asks you to sit and contemplate. And then at the Nididhyasana, having been convinced what is Brahman, just focus self. That's it. Or Upanishad brings in various analogies. Okay, the chariot analogy in the Kathopanishad, in the two birds in the Mundaka Upanishad, Madhu Vidya in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, and Kenopanishad, okay, eye of the eye. Okay, it brings in various, not direct definition is not possible, direct expression is not possible. It builds up the momentum, it conveys ideas to a sincere mumukshu, lit up spiritual aspirant, so that he catches all those things and gets into the mananam and gets convinced, and then focuses one on one. Okay, whatever I have understood about Brahman, with all these aids, I have assimilated all of them. Now I keep them, all of them. I am not going to be thinking about them. I am putting them aside. It has gone inside. as an essence, not as literary expressions. With that essence, focus, nididhyasana, self, Brahman. Okay? So, while explaining Purnam, it cannot explain Purna. So, it is explaining Apurna. What it is said? Something is said to be incomplete when there is a scope for any improvement in that. In the sense, there is a scope for modifying, changing, expanding, contracting, bringing about any change in any object, it is incomplete. Okay, till the time we attain realization, we are incomplete. Till the time the scope for expansion is there. Okay, and here the preceptor is Guru is saying, know that Brahman is that which cannot be changed at all. You cannot bring about any change in that. So it is not Apurnam, so it is Purnam. Contemplate. Ekam, non-dual. This flows from my essential nature as Purnam, undivided essence, where there is nothing, no change is possible, there is no other thing apart from me. So I am Ekam, Ekam Eva Advaita. Okay? I am the one with the capital letter 1, O, 1. With separation in my discovery about myself, with no other self existing apart from myself. To put it in simpler words, there is no separation possible, there is no other possible. We understood in the Satyajnana Anantam session, few sadhakas who went through it, that there cannot be an asat to make the sat as dual. One more, or there cannot be many sats, or there cannot be an asat also existing. If an asat is existing, then the Purnam nature will be this thing, nullified. So it is Apurna. Some change is possible, some asat is also existing in some other this thing. Some other galaxy. Not possible. So, Ekam. I am free, Mukta. The Mukta is beautifully flowing from the earlier three. I am undivided essence Ekam. I am Purnam. Okay, I am all pervading. Hence, there is nothing in this creation apart from me which can bind me. So I am ever free. Right? I am ever free. Chit. Now we will capture the essence of all the previous expressions. Having illumined the creation, I am the pure awareness, Chit consciousness, and all awareness of all beings in the entire creation is made possible due to my illumining the creation as pure awareness, Chit. Jnana. So, a recap for the previous sadhakas and fresh for those who are hearing this for the first time. In the expression Taittiriya Upanishad Satyam Jnanam Anantam, how as a chain each joins the other and then comes together as a garland to express that which is otherwise, inexpressible. Okay, Satyam. I have understood the Satyam, this thing. Okay, Satyam, it is eternal existence. Eternal existence without any cause for it. If it is an effect of any other cause, it cannot be eternal. It is bound to go and merge back in the cause. So, eternal existence is Sat. So, out of the disciples sitting before the bearded Acharya, let us dramatize them. Okay. One intelligent disciple may ask, okay, there can be so many, there can be few at least things which are eternally existing in the creation. But they are just there. With his limited mind, his mind goes to Himalaya. His mind goes to some ocean which has never dried out. And he is referring all, not leave alone the ocean, take the Himalayas. It is eternally existing, but it is just existing, it is dead, it is just existing. What is great about an eternal existence to call it as Brahman? The Acharya smiles and says, wait, understanding as Satyam is not enough, so juxtapose the Satyam with consciousness, so that the Satyam is not Jadavastu, Chaitanya is there. Jnanam has to come. In the Taittiriya Upanishad, the Acharya did not say Anantam Jnanam Satyam, this notice sequence, eternal existence. But it is not the Jada, it is Chaitanya. Consciousness is juxtaposed with Satyam. Okay. Another intelligent disciple. Okay. Satyam, Chaitanya. 14 lokas are there, it is given in our this thing, scriptures. So, Irelu Ulagam, we say. Okay. So, there can be a Satyam Jnanam here, Satyam Jnanam there, Satyam Jnanam there, Satyam Jnanam there. So, this Satyam Jnanam, is it serving, this Brahman is serving a limited boundary? That Satyam Jnanam, Brahman is existing in the other loka? The Guru says, no. One more thing has to be added. Add the Satyam Jnanam together, juxtapose that with Ananta. So it is Anantam, Anantam, without a beginning and without the end. So, with this correct understanding, all other things come together. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahman is Purnam. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahman is all pervading. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahman is the eternal illuminator witness. Everything comes together. Our Shrutis have, Upanishads have left no room for any doubt at all. All philosophy, authentically out of experience, he is telling all philosophies which have come later, for which periods can be, okay, minor Upanishads have come later and period can be defined. Or Panchadashi, we can say a period can be said that in this Didrishivali, but about the Ishavasya Upanishad, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Mundaka, Mandukya, Kaikena, Katha, all those Upanishads, timeless. So all the other philosophies which have come Later on, they are just minuscules of this grand shooting, which encompasses, which gives clarity beyond any possibility of meaning. Not to condemn the minuscules, you catch anything. Ultimately, if you do justice to whatever philosophy you are catching, ultimately you will reach to the secret which Shruti has written. 100% sure. Non-attached, asanga, akriya, actionless. This follows from the essence, I am the witness. Illuminator, witness. If with intellect at the Mananam stage, if the spiritual sadhaka understood very clearly about Brahman as illuminator, witness in the background of the Satyam Jnanam Anantam, then it is very clear beyond any doubt that that witness illuminator, uh, all pervading, Purnam, Brahman, he has nothing to do with any action, and he or that, not even he or she, that cannot be associated with anything in the creation which gets illumined due to that. Okay. The eye of the eye, Brahman, which is letting up the uh, eye in finite terms at the, in macrocosm and macrocosm, micro and macrocosm. This eye of the eye illumines the eye at macrocosm, Virata, and the eyes of all beings in the creation, all species, living species in the creation. But this eye of the eye has no relation with all other eyes. Asankoha. Few of you go back to the Mandukya. Na nirodha nacha utpatti, Mandukya Upanishad, Mandukya Karikas, this thing. Go back to that analogy. Where me, the pure consciousness, I sit on the river bank and the boat which is floating in the lake is the Ganges, is the creation, the boat is the samsara, and in the samsara, all good things and bad things, and the dead bodies and the fragrant flowers, all are flowing in the boat. And they come, they touch the bank, and they go past me, they go away from me. I stay changeless, motionless, actionless, as pure consciousness, asangoha, no relation with that. The moment I smell and the moment I sense, the moment I associate and the moment I develop a love or an attachment or a liking for the fragrant flowers, with the play of my mind, and when the boat comes through me, the death occurs in our family, the death occurs nearby. And when the dead body is coming in the boat, when I loathe that smell of the dead body, when my mind goes and gets touches the dead body, when my thought flow touches the dead body, I am no more unattached. Whereas I am yet to take up the Nididhyasana as pure self, but at the Mananam stage, when I have concluded with conviction that I am the pure consciousness self, that me, the pure consciousness self, cannot have any association with anything going in the creation Ganges, in the samsara boat, all good, bad, or worst, excellent things which are going on. I can have no association as pure consciousness. And I am that, I was that Pranasakha, I was there, I am here, I will be there. I was, I am, I ever is that Sa Aham, Soham, self pure consciousness. Asana. Desireless. This actually desireless precedes the actionless, non-attached state. How? Binding oneself to the boat samsara due to avidya, the self seated on the bank develops desire, liking or negative desire. He disliking all the objects which get fetched into him or her in this life sojourn due to his or her own karmic balances, and then from there action starts, attachment starts, everything starts. Cut the desire, all attachments, actions are cut there itself. And with all this Shantam, I exist ever in and as peace. The solitary witness, the one that has no imperfections, cannot be changed. Purna, that is free, desireless. Samsara, illusion. It talks about I am not into the samsara, already explained in the boat Ganges analogy. With all the above nature, how the self can ever be involved and bound by samsara? With self as pure witness, Purna, all-pervading witness, all-pervading, non-attached, actionless, desireless. Where is the samsara from? I, the pure consciousness, seated on the Rishikesh Ganges bank, my eyes and my senses are witnessing the Ganges, which can be taken as creation for clarity purpose, and my eyes are seeing the boat of samsara fetching all the good, bad, ugly, beautiful things. But I am seeing, I am hearing, still I am not seeing, I am not hearing. Asangoham, asangoham, asangoham. Not attached. Now you will see a beautiful thing, hidden thing. When Jiva starts up the journey, who is fully into action, fully attached, filled with desires, and hence bound to samsara, undertakes at the appropriate time and with purushartha, with sadhana chatushtaya very clear, he or she takes up intense spiritual sadhana, and then gradually transcends desires, becomes unattached as he or she has no desires to fulfill, for which he or she has to be attached to any object, and is ever peaceful and inactive. Inaction in action, and action in inaction. In this state, though he or she might not have explicitly thought about it or explicitly deliberated on this asankoham is a state of existence. It is not a matter to be deliberated. If you keep deliberated, howsoever you deliberate, you can never get disassociated with the creation and its objects, because Maya is so powerful. When the desires are gone, when the attachment is gone, when the mind is at sattvic, peaceful, tranquil state, at that state, to the sadhaka's amazement, the sadhaka finds how disassociated, how non-attached I have become. It is a state of existence. It is not through putting a chart or yes no chart or deliberating, I should not be disassociated. It will never happen. The more you run away from anything, the Maya will pull you more towards that. Through the sadhana, become desireless. Through the sadhana, reduce and reduce your thought flow. Reduce your thought flow through meditation. And take up sessions, take up spiritual path intensely. Then this is a process. You have been attached to this creation, to your kith and kin for how many births? This asankoham cannot set in one stroke. It's a process. You have to be very patient. And no matter what happens as per your prarabdha, your purushartha should be at its peak. Then you will find, when you think like the one self sitting at the bank, when you sit in aloneness of self, to your amazement, a thought flash goes, oh, to the boat, carrying all these things to the samsara, carrying so many things. How much I, Mr. So and so, or Miss So and so, or Mrs. So and so, once upon a time, how much I was attached. Where is the samsara and where is that attachment? Where it has gone? There comes the expression of Janaka, Aho, Aho. How much life has been transformed. And at this stage, he discovers within the cave of the heart that he is nothing other than Chit, pure consciousness. At that instant, Adunaiva, the jiva gets liberated from the cycle of birth and death, from samsara, and he is free. Free. The change in the sequence. So he discovers, when he has discovered the pure awareness without awareness of any other objectless awareness. Pure awareness is objectless awareness. You add any object to your awareness, it becomes conditioned awareness. Pure awareness, that is a pure. Pure awareness is objectless awareness. That at the pure awareness, he discovers, the self discovers him itself to be. Now the Jiva Brahma Aikyam has taken place. Then at the peak of his asankoham and discovering himself as the pure awareness, self-consciousness, all the lakshanas of Brahman described hitherto in the Shrutis, all those beautifully are matching to his existence as pure awareness self. Here, the Atman merges with Brahman. He discovers that I am one, Ekam, Eva Advitiyam, non-dual. I am Purnam. All these are Lakshanas of Brahman. I am all pervading. All pervading. And I am the eternal witness. May he add two more to Ashtavakra's declarations. The Purnam, all-pervading Brahman is witness only in the sense that it illumines the creation without getting involved. Even the illuminator as such at the climax, at the peak, beyond, the para. Even the illuminator as such is not there to be talked about, to be revered, as the world may say, I illumine. But I am Ajata, I am never born, I am causeless. I am causeless. So, the causeless, unborn Brahman is not aware of Shruti's declarations, is not aware that he or that is illuminating this creation. Witness to illuminator to causeless. All are same. When you reach that state, then all the differences are resolved beautifully. Everything is the same. But in the journey, this helps. These are the milestones to be achieved. I cannot rest as eternal witness without attachment, no, I have to discover the self-chit. I have to exist, discover myself as non-dual, as Purnam, complete, and as all-pervading, and I illumine. I, the pure self, illumine I, the Jiva, and I, the pure self, illumines the Jagat for the sake of the Jagat, as well as the Jagat for the sake of me, the Jiva. I have to cross that also, and then I have to exist as the causeless. At the climax, after discovering oneself to be pure self, one smiles when the Jivan Yukta realizes that all through this journey, even while falling down, hurting, failing in spiritual sadhana, failing in meditation, failing in existing as desireless, failing in existing as non-attached, failing in existing as actionless, failing in existing as pure, failing in existence as free. How many births I have fallen and got up again, had the wound and then got up again and then struggled and struggled and struggled. And today, when I reach here, when I have crossed the ocean of samsara, and when I am in that eternal garden of bliss, at that state of existence, the Jivan Mukta smiles and smiles and smiles because he is very clear, as clear as the Manasa Sarovar. The Jivan Mukta is very clear, the sage is very clear. Janaka from the second chapter is very clear that all the one who has been falling and hurting and wounding and getting up and failing and failing and failing miserably and getting up and up to the up to the penultimate state, to this state of existence which I am, all that was not me at all. I am not that at all. The self was never bound to get free today. I have been always free, always free, always free. The Jiva struggles and struggles and struggles all through several births to turn to discover the state of Jivan Mukta, and the Jivan Mukta smiles and disowns the Jiva and says that I was never you at all. Who are you? I don't know you at all. This is the perfect, ultimate asankoham. Now, your journey starts as Jiva, and the Jiva has to discover till he reaches the state of discovering himself to be pure Atman consciousness. He has to go through the stages of being just capture this in your mind. He will explain. Then he will send also. He has to go through the stages of being desireless, then being unattached, and then peaceful, inactive, and with all these jewels added to his crown in the spiritual sadhana, he discovers himself to be pure awareness and hence free, never bound. At this stage, and it is this stage only, the Jiva turned Mukta, the Baddha turned Mukta, can really, really, really experience within himself how he is non-dual Brahman qualities, how he is non-dual, how he is Purna, how he is all-pervading, how he is pure witness, and then how the pure witness is the pure illuminator, and the illuminator ultimate is causeless. This is the journey. And once you exist as witness, pure consciousness, there this chart is erased totally. Nothing is relevant. Finished. One verse. How many treatises, how many verses like this? Is one word enough? And where are we? Where are we? Where are we? wasting all the time. In, like Swami says, I have come to give you liberation. You are asking me coffee powder. Where are we lost in so many petty things? Every time the boat carries something and comes, we are jumping and grabbing. And then telling, oh, this I did not deserve. I am a good person. This dead body found, this bad thing has happened to me. And then, and when we grab the flower and we say, see, I always deserve this. I am a good soul. That is why Swami has said this. Muralati. Where are we? Where are we? What life we are leading? When the entire Shrutis is beckoning us, calling us, and Swami sent this person as his instrument and say, go serve, serve, serve. He's only serving. He's at your feet, serving, serving, serving. You may call him master. You may call him Acharya. And he cannot call himself as me or I, so he also refers us to Guruji and Acharya. In real sense, he is at your feet, serving you and begging you, arise, away. Mandukya Karika, which came after Mandukya operation. The ultimate state. This is in the Advaita Prakarana. The verse goes like this. न कश्चित् जायते जीवा न संभव अस्य वेद्यते एतत् तत् उत्तमं सत्यं यत्र किंचित् न जायते. No jiva, the egocentric separated creatures is ever born. Na jayate. There does not exist any causes, which can produce them as an effect. This Brahman is that highest truth where nothing is ever born. The Jivan Mukta, like he explained that Jiva was never there. So, for the rope, the snake was never there. For the post, the ghost was never there at all. Okay, so having had the vision of the post wise one, this is English of Chinmaya the Great, will have to decry the delusory agitation of the ghost seeing fool. This is exactly what Gaudapada is doing. Dwelled in consciousness, reveling in consciousness, living in consciousness, as consciousness, the great master of every heart, reigning the realm of all, in his vision has no world of objects separate from himself. In this concluding stanza, we have the entire philosophy of Gaudapada summarized in a multi-spiritual tablet. The central theme of the Glossus philosophy is nothing ajatavada. Nothing ever is born. The creation is never there. You as Jiva, bound Jiva, was never there. Keep your ideal at that loftiest level and then start your spiritual sadhana from there. So, you become you take up the role of the judge and you take up the role of the accused also. As a judge, you are saying there is no creation, there is nobody who is baddha, there is nobody who is bound at all, and then go to that this thing and think that, but how I have become bound then, how I am attached to this creation then, how I have developed so much attachment. Then you yourself go back to the judge's seat and say that, okay, bygone is bygone, forget. Now I declare within you, the judge is the Antaratman within you. You declare to yourself, today, from today, with this 12th verse, getting contemplation, stand up, roar like a lion. There is no creation, there is no jiva, there is no bondage, nothing ever. I am Nitya Mukta Purusha. This has become a session by itself. Okay. Like Janaka says in the 18th chapter, what more do I say? Nothing emanates from me.